and I would exit. And today, with a little bit more maturity, I try to be present whenever I can, contribute in the way that I can. This year I contributed very little. I just missed a shift yesterday. But I just think this is a wonderful, wonderful space for not only for us to show, express this gift, but also for the community. We need more art in our lives, and you all make it happen, and we don't take it for granted. So I wanted to start by that. And this is a supportive group. What I love about being part of it is that this is much bigger than what I'm nothing in comparison to what this group means. It's all about support, and it's all about love, and it's all about cheering for each other and supporting the work. And it's just really cool to be part of this group. So, it's, I really have no words to express.
It's cool to have you with us.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. I also want to share that I'm going to be a grandfather for the first time. My daughter is having a hard time. She's 5 months. Some months are better than others, and she's still here to support her dad. That means the world to me. And I even went already shopping this week. And I'm hoping that my granddaughter Diana, and I'm going to call her Nika, is not as fuzzy with presents as my daughter was. I'm a gay man who loves to put laces and really outrageous things in hands. So I'm hoping that she'll be a little bit more open to the process. But anyway, it's a pleasure and it's an honor to have. And it's really about having the understanding of privilege, like the gratitude, being connected with the fact that I am someone who actually can do this, who can express. Because there are so many people who have the gift that for one reason or the other can't even have the ways to do it. So, I'm using Swarovski crystals in some of these pieces, and how privileged is that even to be able to afford that. And it's also a privilege in many, many levels. It's a privilege to use as the thing something that has, since I was a kid, has always been very much connected with my heart, which is the Carnaval in Brazil, which is, my country, there are some really cultural components that are really sort of defining the culture. One of them is soccer, and the other one is the Carnaval, is the samba. And this is something that since I was a kid, at the time, there was no such a thing as recording on TV, so if you want to watch, you'd be all night long watching on TV. The parades in Rio, the 2 nights, they start at around 8 or 9, and they go until about 6 in the morning. So it's about, at the time was 8, today's 6 schools of samba with an hour and a half, each one of them, from the moment that they start the parade to the moment that they end, they have to finish. And then a little bit of time in between each one of them. And since I was a kid, because I'm an artist in my heart, I would always be simply drop down with the creativity and the levels of expressions and all of this. And I would be keeping scores for all the components, because there is such a thing as a competition, and the value for the winner is gigantic. It's millions of reais, which is still a lot of dollars. Since I left home for a few years, I couldn't really follow. But the moment that I could follow again from TV, and then you could start recording, and then I every year I watch every single school of samba. but I never had the privilege. I was in Rio before, but never during Carnival time. And last year I went home to spend time with my mother that was sick, and I had the courage after a conversation with her to go and spend Carnival in Brazil with friends, and she was very supportive, and I decided to go. And I had no intent of actually doing anything with it, but just dance my heart out. So I started learning all the hymns, the sambas. For each school has a different samba, so the different music. And one of the ways that they gain points is how people, the 2,000 to 3,000 people in each school, sing passionately. So of course that I was prepared to get there in Rio and go to the ones that I'm my favorites and buy costumes and go in and parade. And I got to Rio and spent a couple of days, and literally 2 days before the first night of events, I had this dream, and the dream was so real, and the dream was all about this really fuzzy, abstract, and combined with people's face and emotions. And I'm like, so I changed my mind and I said, I'm just going to photograph the Carnival, and I'm going to make something out of this trip. And my colleagues that were friends that were with me, and they were like, really? Do you want to do that? I'm like, yeah, I actually want to do that. So I only had with me, I usually, if I know that I'm going to travel for a place that I want to photograph, I bring in all this crazy equipment. And I only had this really small camera. It was a fixed lens, 35 millimeter. And I said, that will do it. And I was fortunate enough to be literally on the floor as the parade passes across. So I said to myself, okay, what do I want to do? So I knew that I wanted to get the expression, and I knew that if I wanted to get that, I would have to use what I had learned with the songs and sing my heart out, keep the camera in a way that was not on my face, and just click away. And so I would be like going crazy, and there was a moment that I would knock people out, and there was a particular one that a woman, her husband wanted to fight, and she was like, pulled him, and she said, never mind, he's compulsive. Which in some ways I am, but because my friends was literally, I had at the end of each night, I think I had over 1,000 pictures. And everything that I do, I tend to be an intense person. So, I knew that also I wanted to have this dreamy feeling, abstract, and the way to accomplish, I knew enough about photography is that I just leave the shutter open, right? So photography is about light and how much light gets into the sensor. So if you leave the shutter open for longer, then you're going to have this really fuzzy, painterly-like effect. And also, if you shake the camera, then you're going to get some unexpected stuff. So I would do that too. So half of it was about connecting with people through, and half of that was just clicking away, shaking the camera, shaking the body. So, and this was how the whole thing started. So then I came home in April, and then I started developing or working with people. I don't use Photoshop, but I do use Lightroom. And Lightroom today, especially in terms of dark and light, there's a lot you can do with it. So I put things away, life got busy. I went back home in August, spent August. My family came, and then I realized I made a commitment with the Artist Collective to have the show in December. I better start working. But the thing is, when I went back to my notes, because I don't sleep a lot in the middle of the night, what I do, and my partner is very annoyed by the light of the iPad, so I think of thinking on design, I just keep thinking about it. So there was a lot of really that in my mind, what I wanted to do, and I wanted to do something that when I go to places where I see art stuff, I just buy sometimes not even knowing what I'm going to use, like this thing here that I had on. I thought I was going to use on a painting. And I'm like, it's perfect, Carnaval show. But Anyway, I knew that it was time to use mixed media. I had used mixed media in other mediums, like I do jewelry, and I do even like potters for plants. And I usually, when I do these things, I think about family and mother and all that. So I have pretty much a lot of this stuff. So I'm very excited about the final product because I just think that it really shows how I see that Carnaval, right? All the glorious. It's a moment in the culture that people can. It's escape, and there's a lot of hardship, and Carnival is about this inversion in society that in that week, in those 2 days, I can be whatever I can be, and I don't have to struggle, and I can just celebrate life, and the man can be woman, the straight can be gay, the poor can be king, the marginal and the favelas can come down dancing with the splendor in those costumes that are just... So in some ways, it's almost like this feeling of what we have in New Orleans, the Mardi Gras. In some ways, it's the feeling of a Vegas trip. Rebecca lives in Vegas, so a lot of the things is, and that's what I love. I think it is, this escape is necessary. We need escapes as artists. So, you know, I'm gonna show a few pieces. This, and my partner will put them back, hopefully. Maybe I'll show one black and white and so there's a lot of things used. So what it is, a start with a base of a photography. And by the way, let me show you this even before this. Because all my shots are very intimate. The parade is insane.
Oh, gorgeous. Oh, my Lord.
So
Wow.
there is a week after the 2 days. Not a week after, because it's Monday and Tuesday. So the Saturday after, the 6 top schools of samba come back to the same avenue, and they sell the ticket. And I realized that all my shots were very close, and I end up buying a ticket from far away to get some, because I'm like, I never know if one day I get a show in whatever, and people need to understand. So those are the sort of the cards, the size of the cards, and this is how many people participate on it.
Wow.
Right. So I just wanted. I think that's very important, and I couldn't see the 3. I only saw 2 schools, and I had to get a cab and go to the airport as I could, because but I made sure that I had that shot in case in the future if I need to show that, especially for a different culture, this size. And also I'm going to show you that because there is the process itself is literally print the work. Did it sound? Anyone get the chance to find the other 2 pieces? So it's a trick which. So I print my own work, and I had not printed my own work in quite a while. And then I literally glue on the wood. I like the wood. A lot of my paintings are on wood because it gives you more flexibility with such a hard surface to do more things. So, you know, there is a couple triptychs, right? But even the other ones, they are hand cut and hand glue. I use gel, acrylic gel, but you could use anything else. But that's pretty much, you know, I had to print some because of when I cut would be not right, the cutting. So it's a lot of work to get it right in a way that you see. It's almost like it was mounted on wood. It was not, it was cut. and then use gel and then mount it before even I start painting and doing crystals and adding texture and all that. So this was supposed to be one of them. I realized, you know what, it's enough. You have enough, but my vision for this was very much a lot of silver and white, and I didn't do anything with it. So for this particular piece, which is very sort of ethereal, I wanted to, there was a bit of smoke coming out on here, I wanted to accentuate that feeling. So I used wax. I used candles initially, and then for a little bit more texture, and then I wanted, in addition to have the texture, I wanted to be really covered with wax in order to have this ringing effect. So I used this little wax dots. It's really tiny, and when you use a heater, it basically melts everything. And then I use, of course, paint, and then I decided to do beading, the silver beads on it as well. It's called the Shaman of the Tribe, and has a sort of a spiritual feel to it. Maybe this one on top of it. Maybe while Alex is doing this, I'm just gonna. This is easier. This one was a lot of work. This guy was just happy before I dragged him completely. I'm like, you need to be dragged. So this was actually his hand, and I paint over the hand, and I think it was a mistake, because when you paint over a hand, it's very difficult to grab the right color. And this is, I kept thinking about yoga, and I kept thinking about all the painters here and the people that inspire, but, you know, Liz and yoga, they are always on my mind. I think it's because they teach here. They paint and sip once a month on Fridays. But then I finally decided, okay, I'm going to use gold, and I used the gold. I was not happy. I'm like, this has to look like a Michael Jackson situation. But I did all the draggy Swarovski crystals here. And then I literally used acrylic skin, so I painted, cut it off on skins, waited for dry on plastic surface, and used on his clothing together with beadings. Wanted to emphasize this, was not quite sure. I ended up putting some glitter on it as well to sort of complement this big eyepiece in the center. But anyway, I wanted to do some black and white just because I'm attracted to black and white, monochrome feelings. So the black and whites have, in some ways, some of them have painting on it as well, but some of them, in this case, I don't think I painted anything. I wanted to keep as it was. And then I used crackle paste, modeling paste for the texture, and some glitter just because I felt that the glitter was needed, such a matte, you know. And for the black and whites, I never used anything glossy. It was satin. Hey, my darling, I have not seen you, so wonderful. Okay, let's see where I'm gonna go now.
Yeah.
This one has quite a bit of paint on it and has glitter. And I'm very fussy with glitter just because I don't want glitter to be getting out. So I use a fixer and sprays on it. And then I put mica. I use mica for texture flakes. Those are actually feathers. So what I wanted to achieve with all the pieces was that when people would see them individually, they would be intrigued and would be like little discoveries. Oh, there is actually texture in there. I didn't want it to be too much on the face. So maybe some of them have too much on the face, but that was what was in my mind. I got people involved, my son-in-law, Ken, and my daughter, Elena, and Alex, with the names when they came in a weekend to spend during the time of my daughter's birthday. Anyway, this has a lot of paint. It's very subtle, but I literally paint the entire thing, and then over acrylic, and then I use crystals also very sporadically, not in all the places, because I wanted to make sure that people would be surprised just by the photo of the faces themselves. I was also very lucky because this is a group. This is part of one of those big, large cards, but I had a camera, even though it was a single lens, fixed lens camera, it was a camera with high megapixels, so for things like far away, I can just crop. I could just crop a little, so I was lucky with that. But anyway.
That's my favorite. Yeah, I know.
So this piece has nothing. So there is about, I think, three pieces that had nothing. It was just a photograph the way it is. And for those, I just didn't feel that I needed to do anything. And this one is interesting because I came back and I came to see, I think it was for Cover One Shift in August. And, you know, the collective was doing a show. Was the first jury show that the gallery had, and we hired somebody from Rhinebeck to lead that, and
Yeah,
the show had
Betsy
already-
Giacaruso from Rhinebeck was our juror for the show.
So, if I'm not mistaken, and you can correct me, Barbara, because my memory is horrible, but I think it was either already past the time and they had extended by the thing by 3 days. And Barbara was like, "Don't you have something?" And I'm like, "I don't think I do." And I'm like, "Actually, I do." So I sent a picture. This was the picture, and was selected. When it was selected, and then I sent somewhere, I think it was in California, to be printed, to be here for the time that we started the show. And so I didn't print this one. And ended up winning first place in the show, which it was really good. And this is the premiership. This is another one with a lot of shutter being open for a very long period and a lot of movement. And I did very little. I did paint, and I had all those little details. Some of it with brush, some of it with the 3D liners, as you can see.
Just turn this way a little bit.
Sorry, Barbara. And then I do use a lot of things like that for the planters that I do, that I did for my mother. This is also mica flakes that I literally cut to sort of match and add a little bit texture to it. And so I didn't know you overuse. I just wanted the movement to be there. Some of them are finished with gloss varnish. Some of them are finished with Mod Podge, which is almost like a glue. Some of them are finished with satin varnish, the ones that I wanted to be a little bit more pulled back. This is the piece that my daughter said is a self-portrait. So I'm like, seriously? I'm not calling that. And then I decided to call it, but it's called like self-portrait of sorts. They actually wrote, they were there, and I went, I think I came to cover hours here at the gallery, and they stayed at the house. And when I came back, I'm like, have you done it yet? The names. So anyway, there's very little beading in here. I just used the beading to accentuate. But what it is a lot of just Indian gold ink in just one single line of strokes to use the brush.
That blurs everything except for her face.
Yeah. But she says that I make some of that face sometimes.
I feel like the students here probably know what I'm talking about.
My busy knows. What is your name, Alex? This one? Oh yeah, come on, talk about it, Alex. What's the name of it?
It's Earth Siren.
Oh,
Pretty.
So this one it's done with a lot of camera shake as well, and there's a lot of painting and there's a lot of liners. I wanted to give this really movement feeling about it with this idea of the expression. To me is really letting it go, everything, right? Leaving that moment and being grateful and just singing it really loud. So yeah, I love her. That's a very draggy one too. I did a lot of things to it, actually. There was a lot of paint, and all those things are painted over. The dots, I think, are my dots. I actually created them. So there's glitter on all this part in here, real glitter with the fixer, so it doesn't come out. There's different texture, but it's a fun one with lots of unusual colors to it, and the expression, to me, is precious. It's like a lot of things in life, imperfect. For whatever reason, because I use all these multi-mediums, and it start bleeding a little bit, so there's a little bit of bleeding on it, and I went over and all tried to fix, but it was not necessarily that easy to get. Yeah, I went over a few times. Why do you want to show that? Why do you think it's beautiful? Well, I didn't pick that because I had already shown, which is very similar. So there is crackle paste and modeling paste, but also this one I used. There's this black stones, and I mixed with modeling paste. And we don't see the crystals anymore, but it does give a cool texture. And somebody, I think Barbara said, I like this one because it seems like she's coming out of it, or for whatever reason.
I don't think it was me, but he does have a 3D effect going.
Okay, somebody, the last time I came
oh
here,
joy.
said that. So this is one I'm very draggy too. So I add a lot of things to it, like all this crazy. And I really paint the mouse with that really big red thing. So I'm not a painter, so I really have a hard time.
Oh, yes, you are.
Like with the small details, and I kept thinking about you and like, you know what? My colleagues would do this with such an ease, and here I am, and my hand is shaking, and I'm using like all this micro
Oh, they're beautiful.
brushes. But anyway, I used, and actually this is not the first one. There is quite a few on that draggy first in there. I also used gold leaf before I realized that it needed capture on top of the gold leaves. So I did use gold leaf in quite a bit on this one, and silver leaf. And then on top of that, I decided to use also gold stones because I was not very happy with it. I knew that I wanted something because I want at least one piece to have a sort of a different frame to sort of pop up, and something that I use a lot of different techniques from. There's a lot of painting here too. So just in some way, I think I chose this to be sort of the piece that showcased the show. Anyway, that is the show, folks. I'm now open for questions. Sorry for being a bit long.
Could you tell us how you make those?
Yeah, so
Just wondering, how'd you get that?
so this is so those are coasters, and I think the connection with my own trajectory is great. It's like, you know, three of us were participating of the Millbrook Winery contest, and to be in that environment that unites a lot of what I did in New York. I was a sommelier, wine director, maitre d' for restaurants, and I studied about wine for many years for my daughter's desperation. I had multiple groups going on, even, you know, weekends at 7 o'clock in the morning, tasting wine, going through very advanced theories, and she hated wine until she came to Vassar. But she hated with all her passion because that took away the time that she had with her dad. So it's, you know, the fact that it is for that purpose is really cool. But anyway, they are coasters. They are all about intuition. I don't have to think about it. I don't have to design. And there was a time when I first really started painting that combined with COVID, and that I dealt with a lot of really hardship and losing multiple family members, including my dad. I went into a very dark space, and painting like that is just poor paint. Letting the intuition guide, it's still very important to me. So, but the cool things about them is they are really successful. We sell them. We're completely out of them here. I had them in there, and so I use basically acrylic painting and ceramic.
You start with.
I started with ceramic, and then I covered the base with tape.
Oh.
Because if you don't do that, that's not going to look as clean as it is in that screen. And then I use acrylic paint and pour paint, and I use also soap Jones and Floetrol, that are chemical elements that provides the cells. And then after they are painted, then I resin, art resin, and then I finally remove the tapes and put the cord. So,
They're just wonderful.
Yeah.
There's so many
so
variety.
it's a labor of love.
No two are alike.
No two are alike, and I do a lot of times. Most of the time, I do in sets of 4. So I like to sell that because I think I always see my work as embellishing spaces or embellishing homes, and whatever it is. I think all my shows have been about. I want to see my work. You know, some of my colleagues are like, you charge a little or low, and on the low end, I want to see I want to see arts in people's home. I wanted to, if I'm an agent, to do that, to me, whatever it is, from coasters to a larger paint, and you know, that's what matters. But anyway, there are many loose ones in there as well. but that is the process. Any other questions?
What is one thing about Brazilian culture which is different from America?
One thing?
It's only an hour.
Well,
Just a couple.
it's okay. So I'm gonna say something, and then I think I look at my daughter. It's especially where I come from. I come from the Amazon, so it really is as collective gets. Right now, this multiple group of friends, they spend the entire time just enjoying each other, going to multiple groups of meeting before Christmas and all that, but also everybody participates in you doing math and have a say on things. But you also, there was a lot of support. To go from there to a more individualistic society, to me, was very difficult, very different. It's like my daughter, she's 30 years old, 32, but 33, sorry, just turned 30.
Just keeps ringing me.
But, she just went home pregnant and spent a good amount of time with her grandmother. And, she was already pregnant when she got there, right? So she'd go to a party, people literally go straight to her belly to so, yeah, it's like anything in life, right? It's always how you see it and how you learn to see it and how open you are to all the wonders of its peculiarities, I think. That is, I think, to me, the biggest difference. Yeah.
I have a question. You were talking about how this was your first time mixing a lot of the mediums you've done work with in the past. What would you say was your biggest takeaway, or was there anything that stood out to you through this process of work making that, made a big impression on you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's a great question. I think I worked, so coming to levels, this answer, I think I had worked already hard on, in terms of the blessing, because if I'm expressing whatever I'm expressing through a brush or a painting flowing on the canvas or through my voice, I understand that I'm just an instrument. That is my understanding today, spiritual understanding. Right? It's something that was given as a gift, and in some way I'm just an agent. So when you approach from this process, we should, as artists, be less afraid of just trying. And even if you're using sometimes more expensive materials, I think it is just if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. So what? In this case, I had in my mind, and it's like, okay, this is mounted on wood. If it doesn't work, I can rip off. It's going to take a while because it has gel on it, and I would sand it because the wood is the more expensive part. I would sand it and then start again. So I think that is the biggest takeaway, right? And it's one canvas is so small in relation to all the wonderful things that we have as artists, which is given to us.
There's no mistakes.
Right, yes.
You always, you make a mistake and something is making it happen for a reason, so you
Go with it.
carry on.
Yes.
And you go on and on. And you search. It's a search.
Yeah. And by the way, call those these incredible sculptures all over the gallery that you see. And it takes him, in each one of them, months of work. So it's, and I mean, I really admire your work.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay.
Do you think you want to keep doing like mixed media pieces or go back to just photography or just acrylic?
I don't know. I don't know. I'm missing music. I also have this. Part of it is because I have this health situation in vocal cords that I'm dealing with, and I have to deal with. But I'm missing that. I don't know. I think it's the nature. It's just my personality. It's just like.
I always loved your fish tank photos. When you first came here,
Yes.
you had the fish tank photos, which were fascinating. I hope you can go back to that. Or,
I'm considering. Yeah.
We should probably explain that I don't think there were actually any fish involved.
water tanks.
Water tank
Flowers.
with flowers and, yes, and dropping ink in there and paint. Those were amazing effects.
Yeah. And they were kind of like
Anyway.
in the moment.
Very ethereal.
You got it.
This isn't a question, it's just a comment. I think that the way you incorporated all the different materials that you used and how you used the paint and everything is just incredible, and they really came out beautifully. I think they're just wonderful, Gabby.
Thank you.
You're here.
Yay!
Yes.
You have, you mentioned something about the ceramic pots. You made some ceramic pots?
No, ceramic is the base for
You
the.
said that they were flower pots.
You did mention making
Oh
flower
yes,
pots.
but they were not ceramic. They were. Well, I guess it's a.
Some of them were.
Some of them were. It's basically flower pots that I embellished with my own paintings, and I would cut the skins, and then embellish with glitter and other things. And you know, Brazilians love glitter. They really do. Like my nieces, they all. My daughter really does not like. She was very Brazilian in many ways, but not with the glitter component. But there was a lot of glitter. So in her apartment, you have these planters with glitter all over.
Okay.
You mentioned that, and I don't know if this is too much exposition, but when Barbara says that he's a Renaissance man, and you know he mentioned jewelry earlier, he also does clothes, he does bags, all with a mixture of the art that he takes
Scarves, yeah.
pictures of,
Yeah.
that he creates. Yeah, very multi-medium guy for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, all really good too. Yeah, for the tote bag though.
Okay, can we drink again? Thank you, folks.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks to Alex, too, for curating.
Yes,
While I have you
and
here,
those
maybe
empanadas.
housekeeping things. For those of you who are visiting, the gallery changes our show every 2 months. So this is our end of our December show. So starting in January, February, we're gonna have we'll clean house, we have a whole new exhibit here with all our members. So, and also, January, we have our solo show will be Pat Buckstrip, who had just stepped out here. She was right here. So she'll be taking over the solo room for January. So we're trying to keep new stuff coming in all the time. So get our website and get our newsletter and come back again. I also want to welcome Christine, Sandra, and Miriam, who are previous members.
Yay!
Thank you very much. There's food. We might try to get a game of Pictionary going later, but it's our holiday celebration, hang out and get to know everybody. And until the wine runs out, which might be a while.